that he got swept away in that dark side of the Force energy, and his lightsaber when he first got it and we first ignited it actually ended up being red.
You're listening to
Path of the Jedi
with your host, Ronnie Cruz.
All right, welcome to Path of the Jedi, the podcast where Star Wars meets personal development. My name is Ronnie Cruz, your host for this marvelous adventure. And yeah, wow, here we are, another episode. It's been a crazy last few days. I don't know if you could hear it in my voice. I'm a little wore out. I was traveling. Actually, I'm still traveling. I'm recording this on my travel setup right now at my folks' place. But over the weekend, I was up in Pennsylvania in the Hershey area. Spent a couple days there. Did a bunch of stuff. Actually, had an event. Weekend had a race that I ran, a 10K down in York, Pennsylvania. Then went to Hershey Park on Sunday. Went to Gettysburg on Monday. Just did a bunch of stuff, and now taking a day here at my parents before heading back up to the mountain. So yeah, it's been quite a whirlwind, and a lot of I think mainly the Hershey Park and screaming on the roller coasters was what did my voice in. I lost my voice a little bit. And there's some good roller coasters at Hershey Park. If you guys have never been there, if you happen to be in that area or heading to that area, I highly recommend it. It's good fun. This past weekend just happened to be like the last weekend of winter, even though it was the first weekend in April. Like that always seems to happen. It was super cold, but anyways, that's neither here nor there. Still had a great time. I appreciate everybody. Well, shout out to everybody that was able to hang out, spend some time with me on my birthday weekend. Thank you so much, and of course, thank you to everybody that sent me well wishes and birthday greetings online and all the social feeds. I really appreciate each and every one of you, and even in private messaging. I'm still going through my messages, guys, so please don't be mad at me if I don't get back to you immediately to say thank you. Personally, I just want you to know I do appreciate those birthday greetings. It's been an incredible past few days, and yeah, it's another birthday for the books for sure. That said, this week is going to be a little bit of a quicker episode. It's one of those situations where I am recording, editing, and releasing all in the same day. So I want to get this out to you guys as quickly and expediently as possible, while also providing you with great content. So as I mentioned last week, we are going to talk about the next episode in Star Wars Visions, episode 5. Yeah, wow, we're already on 5. Episode 5, The Ninth Jedi. Now, this is another fun episode. Stylistically, absolutely beautiful episode, beautifully drawn, beautiful artwork, lots of great Star Wars action in this one. I think, in my opinion, this has got some of the best action sequences that we've seen thus far in Star Wars Visions. Also, too, they cram a lot into this one. I think more than the past episodes that we've talked about here so far, this particular episode seems to be much more plot driven than the others. And so I think because of that, they really crammed a lot in the 20 minutes of the episode. So instead of trying to kind of rehash and give you guys plot points and highlights, let me just play you this quick clip from the very beginning of the episode.
Many generations have passed since the light of the Jedi protected the galaxy. Since then, an era of war has arisen. But Margrave Juro, ruler of the planet High Islam, has a plan. He has recently begun mining for rare kyber crystals within his territory. Using these crystals, he seeks to restore the Jedi by reforging their ancient weapons, the lightsabers, which have since been lost to the galaxy. However, ancient dark forces conspire to subjugate the galaxy. They hatch their own sinister plan to hunt all suspected Jedi and bring forth a new era of Sith rule.
And that's the premise that the episode is built on, right? And so as I said, so much happens in the story. As I was rewatching this, I was thinking, man, there's so many different themes and topics that I could talk about. I was thinking even about like career and career choice, talking about um, talent versus skill set. But the thing actually that I want to hone in on for today, and again, this is one of those situations where we can come back and revisit this particular episode. But what I wanted to hone in on today was influence, right? Like your circle of influence, how you influence people, and how people influence you. To recap the sound clip we just listened to, it's a war. There's chaos in the galaxy. The Jedi are all but extinct, and this one individual, Margrave Juro, which I just learned this from this episode, but Margrave apparently is a title. It's like prince or some kind of royal title. So Margrave, the Margrave. Um, has decided to recreate, or he wants to reestablish the Jedi Order, and so he has sent out this beacon to call any masterless Jedi, right, to him, to come join him on this quest. And also the other thing that he's doing is he had some lightsabers built. Now these lightsabers are different from the lightsabers that we're used to, whereas each Jedi creates and builds his own lightsaber, and it's unique and has its own signature to that particular Jedi. These lightsabers were built by a sabersmith with the notion, with the ability that it actually reflects the user. It reflects the individual Jedi that becomes its owner. And so I was thinking, man, that's pretty cool, especially in the context of the previous conversations we've had lately about mirror neurons and how we reflect each other's emotional and mental states. These lightsabers are very much like us. These new style lightsabers will reflect the people, the Jedi that are using them. The lightsabers, of course, are inanimate, right? So they don't have necessarily a choice as to who uses them or who they get to be around. We are not like that, right? Obviously, we have a choice. So we have to be very, very careful because, like these lightsabers, we reflect the people around us with our mirror neurons. We have to be really, really mindful and protective of what we're exposing ourselves to, right? The ideas, the information, the media, and especially the people, the communities that we expose ourselves to, because we're going to eventually, if we expose ourselves to these things, number one, without mindfulness and without awareness, and number two, for consistent periods of time, over time, you'll eventually start to mirror and become like the people you spend the most time with, like the communities that you engage most in. Um, it's like that old saying, birds of a feather flock together, right? Uh, More recently, you'll hear in motivational talks and success programs and things like that, to say that you are the sum total of the five people you spend the most time with. I mean, yeah, it's kind of pithy and reductive and cliche, but there's definitely some truth to it, right? I mean, as we've discussed with mirror neurons, we all have a natural ability to be empathic towards each other, right? In this episode, a group of force sensitive individuals actually respond to the beacon and arrive at the temple of Margrave Juro. And when they receive and then ignite their lightsabers, these lightsabers, again, which were created to reflect the user, actually reveal their essence, right? And it reveals that these Force users weren't actually Jedi, but they're actually bad guys. They all the lightsabers turn out to be red, so they're all Sith, right? So they're all Sith. And I bring this up because there's one particular individual by the name of Homan, Homen, Homan. I think I'm saying that right. But he innately isn't a Sith, or he wasn't a Sith, but because he was surrounded by all these other Sith, that he got swept away in that dark side of the Force energy, and his lightsaber, when he first got it and he first ignited it, actually ended up being red. So even though he wasn't a Sith or had any intention of being a Sith or a bad guy, when he arrived, he got swept away in that energy. because it was so strong, right? And so his lightsaber ended up becoming red. Thankfully, he got talked down and he snapped out of it by the end. But we see the power of influence, right? The power of being swept away by a group of individuals or the people you surround yourself with. So again, it's so important that we really be mindful and aware of the people that we spend the most time with and what energies, what mindsets, what principles, what philosophies we're allowing into our headspace, right? Because eventually, if we're not guarding our headspace, then those are the things that are going to take precedence, right? So again, it's important to be mindful and be really choosy with who you surround yourself with and what information you're allowing in your headspace until you can develop the awareness, the wherewithal, the fortitude to be able to guard that headspace no matter what situation you're in. Because I understand you can't always pick the situation, right? You can't always control your surroundings and who you're exposed to. But as much as possible, be mindful of that again until you have that mindfulness and fortitude to be able to guard that headspace in any situation. The last thing I would want is any of you guys to fall to the dark side. Okay, so being careful and mindful of who we spend our time with and what we let into our headspace is important. Also, what's important is really, really understanding the influence we have on other people and being mindful of that influence, right? It's a reflective thing, right? Like they reflect us, we reflect them. So it's really, really important that I think we be, well, at least that we work on being as intentional and purposeful as possible with our influence, the influence that we have. And really that just goes to making sure that we work on any negative patterns that we might be carrying, right? Any reactive patterns that we may have developed over the years, because those reactive patterns can, can go haywire and can take over the show and make us do things that we may not have otherwise done. I mean, obviously, case in point, going back to the Oscar incident, because again, it's just such a great example. Textbook, really. Clearly, there were some patterns that reared their ugly head with Will Smith, and so he lost control, right? And did some things that I don't think he would have otherwise done. So, bring it back to our own experiences. I mean, think about in your own past, right? Times where you might have lost it, right? Where you might have lost control to an old pattern. I mean, I can definitely recall countless times where that's happened for me in my past. And, when I reflect on those things, I think about, man, what influence, what impact did I have on the people that were around me and the people who were targeted by those patterns? And so when I reflect on that, I like that's what makes me want to keep working on removing or at least replacing those patterns with healthier responses, right? So that I don't lash out, so that I don't have a negative influence on the people around me. And then you take it a step further and then you work on being intentionally the kind of individual that has a positive influence, that has a positive impact, that works to help people become their best selves, like Margrave Juro, who his only intention is to reestablish the Jedi Order, to help these individuals reach their potential and become better people, become better individuals, and become better Jedi so that they can together bring more balance and peace to the galaxy. And so that's really the conversation I wanted to have today, right? Be mindful of the people you surround yourself with, the people that have the most influence on you, the communities, the information, the ideas, the philosophies that you're allowing into your headspace. And then also be mindful of the influence you're having on others, right? Right, the impact that you make in people's lives, because you have a big impact, whether you know it or not. You are influencing people, like I'm not talking about in the social media sense, right? I'm not talking about being an influencer and all that stuff. Like that's completely separate conversation. I'm talking about the interactions that we have on our day to day. It makes an impact. It makes a difference, and the thing is, it can make a difference either for good or for worse in the other people's lives that we touch. And here's the thing. I know You guys are all trying. I know we're all trying. We're all working hard. We're doing our best. And I want you to understand, keep doing your best. You've got this. You're making a big difference, whether you know it or not, whether you feel it or not. You are making a big, big difference in someone's life. And the fact that you're listening to this, I will say, you're making a difference in mine. And that's going to do it for our conversation today. Thank you guys again for everything, for tuning in, for your patience. I know it was a little bit of a rough episode, but what do you guys think, right? What do you guys think about influence? Has there ever been a time in your life that you maybe regret having a negative influence? Are you working towards improving your influence, right? Who in your life inspires you? Who in your life would you like to inspire? These are all great things to ponder and think about. So let us know. Feel free to share your ideas, your thoughts, your reflections on this episode. Hit us on our socials on Facebook and Twitter. It's at POTJ Podcast. And of course, you can email us, send us an email or even an MP3 to info@pathofthejedi.com.
Classified, really? Me too. Big secret.
All right, as for next week, I'm actually not sure that I'll be able to get around to recording an episode. I'm going to try, but I am going on a vacation. I'm going to take some time off and you guys know time off is time off, right? That means no work. And again, I'm one of those individuals that I'm the kind of person that has a hard time putting work down, although this isn't really work to me, and that's why, right? Like, my work is always amazing and fun, but I'm gonna try my best to take some time off. So that means I may not be able to get to doing an episode for next week. So if in case that happens, I'll at the very least make an announcement on our socials. Again, on Facebook and Twitter, it's at POTJ Podcast if you don't already follow us there. And I'll let you guys know. I'll keep you posted. Otherwise, if I do end up making another episode, it will be still talking about Star Wars Visions. We're going to go on to episode 6, and at this point right now I can't remember the title of the episode, but we'll keep going with our Star Wars Visions episodes. We're in the thick of April. We're gonna get to May, and so we got to get through this stuff in order to prepare for Obi-Wan Kenobi. That's right, Obi-Wan Kenobi coming out in May. All right, for the shout out this week, I got some fun shout outs. I actually have 2 shout outs. It's like a group of shout outs, really. First batch of shout outs, I want to give a shout out to everybody who ran the Counselor 10K or 5K with me this past Saturday. It was an amazing race. It was kind of miserable conditions. It was rainy, it was pretty cold, but you guys all braved the weather to hang out with me and do this silly race. So thank you guys who all ran the Counselor Park 10K with me. And a special shout out and honorable mention to Andrew Luis out of New York. This was his first ever official race. It was his first ever 10K. It's the furthest he's ever ran. And guys, check this out. He placed 3rd place in the men's division. So huge congratulations and shout out to Andrew Luis of New York City. Congratulations to you, Andrew, and to all my fellow racers out there at Counselor Park 10K. This shout out goes to you. And for my second shout out this week, I want to give a shout out to Chasten Cruchet. That's right, Chasten Cruchet. Chasten I've known not even a year, not quite a year yet, but getting there. But he is one of our regional sales manager at Yoli, and he did us the honor and privilege of coming out to our event this past weekend in Pennsylvania. He spent the afternoon with us on Saturday at our event. Then he hung out with us Saturday night and did some line dancing. And then Sunday, he spent some time with us at Hershey Park. And so, I wanted to give him a shout out because I know how tiring and just like it takes a lot of energy to be out in the field, and Chasten and really our whole sales team, they're so willing to just be out there and to serve and to give us what we need and to support in any way, shape, or form that they can. And Chasten is no different, right? Like, he has that in spades. He really has such a giving spirit and a giving heart, and I'm so grateful to you, Chasten, for doing what you do. Of course, Ashlyn as well, who came out in January. You guys are the freaking best. You guys are the freaking best, and understand that your presence, anytime we can be around it, it makes a huge impact on the field. It makes a huge impact on me, guys. It makes a huge lasting impression. So Chasen, thank you so much for taking time away from your family this weekend to come hang out with us in Pennsylvania. This shout out goes to you. And that's going to do it, guys. Thank you so much again for everything, for your patience, for always indulging me every week and listening to my ranting and ravings about Star Wars. Hopefully it's helping. If you like it, please feel free to leave a rating and a review. If not, well, you know what I say. Move along, right? Move along. No, but seriously, thank you guys so much for everything. We'll catch you on the next episode. Until then, everybody, please be well, be safe, and may the Force be with you.
This podcast is not endorsed by the Walt Disney Company nor Lucasfilm Limited and is intended for entertainment, educational, and informational purposes only. The official Star Wars website can be found at www.starwars.com. Star Wars, all names and sounds and any other Star Wars related items are registered trademarks and or copyrights of Disney and their respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is intellectual property of Path of the Jedi unless otherwise indicated.